Hello, my name is Dr. Luke Bell. I'm lecturer in molecular horticulture at the University of Reading in the United Kingdom. This is a screencast of material originally made available for the module Principles of Horticulture and Crop Production from the years 2020 to 2025. Please note that some of the details may now be outdated.
The learning outcomes are to describe the origin and history of carrots, describe the characteristics of roots and explain the features of mature plants when flowering, give examples of different carrot cultivar types and their uses, and give examples of the largest carrot producing countries in the world. So the Latin name of domesticated carrot is Daucus carota, subspecies sativus. They're a member of the Apiaceae family of plants, and they're characterized by feathery leaves, and they have what's called an umbelliferous flowering structure, and I'll come on to that in a little while. Wild carrot species are common across the world. There are particular types native to Europe and North America, such as Queen Anne's lace, which is a common wild carrot. Some members of this family are known to be poisonous, and it is possible to confuse wild species with domesticated varieties, and there have been instances where people have been poisoned because of this. So in terms of where carrot originates from, it's thought to have come from modern day Iran and Afghanistan. The first modern carrots, as we know them, arose in the 7th century, and they've been selectively bred for enlarged and more palatable roots over the centuries. By the 11th century, crops were being grown in Syria. Then by the 12th century, yellow and purple cultivars were known and grown in both Spain and Italy. By the 14th century, white carrots, yellow and red cultivars were grown in China and most of Europe. But the first orange carrots we're familiar with today weren't really developed until around about the 16th century, and they're thought to have been bred in honor of the House of Orange-Nassau, which was the Dutch royal family. It's not known exactly how true this is, but it is known that carrots were sort of associated with prestige and as a bit of a delicacy at the time, particularly orange carrots, which were rarer than the red and yellow and purple cultivars elsewhere. So carrot is a cool season biennial crop which is cultivated as an annual. So it's cultivated obviously for its fleshy edible roots. The plants form a very short rosette of leaves, and from this there is a large taproot which develops in the first year of growth. If left to grow on into the second year, the plant stems then elongate and begin to flower. So in terms of the anatomy of the carrot root, carrots are a primary taproot structure, and they have a kind of alternating layers of different tissues, starting with the skin on the outside, then going into a phloem layer, and then a vascular cambium layer, and xylem in the center of the root. So they form lateral roots towards the base and tip of the main taproot, but periods of drought can encourage the growth of root hairs from the side of the main taproot. The root itself can reach depths of about 75 centimeters, so they can be quite deep rooting. Rapid root elongation usually occurs very early on in growth, between 12 to 24 days after emergence. The carrot length is associated with its yield, but large roots are typically not favoured as they're prone to breaking and splitting post-harvest. So as I said, the centre of the root is composed of the phloem and xylem tissue, and this kind of gives the carrot its distinctive kind of fibrous texture, but within those there are oil ducts. So when the tissue is broken or chewed, it releases these kind of oil droplets which contain aroma and flavour compounds, so that gives rise to carrot's distinctive taste and flavour. So vernalization in carrots is below about 5 degrees centigrade. They need exposure to this cold period in order to flower in the second year. Flowering carrot plants can grow quite tall, between 1 and 2 meters in height, and they form this primary stem of umbrella-like flowers, and this gives rise to its the family name of carrots. Old name was the Umbelliferae family because of this. So that's now a term which isn't used so much, but you might find it in old papers and textbooks. But the newer name is the Apiaceae, but they're all characterized by these kind of umbrella-like flowers which develop. And so a primary stem will develop, and from that stem secondary, tertiary, and even quaternary stems will branch off. So a single flower stalk can contain up to 50 of these umbels on a single plant. And the seed quality varies according to which stem it's derived from. So the highest quality seed is usually on the primary and secondary stems, with the tertiary and quaternary stems having much lower seed quality. And that's kind of a developmental evolutionary strategy by the plant to ensure that it can, if there are any changes in climate or adverse events, it ensures that it has a different seeds at different developmental stages, which can be dispersed and into the wild. However, for domestication purposes, this can be quite wasteful, so a lot of carrot seed can be discarded. Carrots have a large amount of morphological diversity. As you can see in this slide, there are numerous different colours of roots, but they also vary in their shape. They tend to be grouped into two kind of classes of cultivars. So there's the Asian cultivars and the European cultivars. So I'm mostly going to focus on European types. So these are more cold tolerant, firm textured and flavourful, whereas the Asian cultivar types are softer, less sweet, and have an annual growth habit rather than biennial. Carrot cultivars are also often grouped according to their root shape and appearance characteristics. So this slide just kind of details the different shapes and sizes, relative shapes and sizes of different carrot cultivars. European types form generally three groups. So-called baby cultivars, which are usually mature in around about 50 to 60 days. Then we have medium-rooted cultivars, which mature in 60 to 75 days, and long-rooted types, which also mature in a similar kind of time frame. So I'll just go through now a few of the most common and probably most popular cultivar types of carrot. So the first one is the Nantes type. So this has a characteristic cylindrical shape with blunt and rounded tops and tips. They grow usually between 18 to 23 centimeters long. The name comes from the city of Nantes in France, where it was developed in the late 19th century. So there are many different Nantes cultivar types which have been developed since then. They do have a susceptibility to mechanical damage post-harvest because of their length and shape. Next we have the Chantenay carrots. So this is a type of carrot with broad shoulders and a very short tapering to a pointed tip. So they're quite stubby, only usually about 15 to 20 centimeters long. They're commonly used as baby carrots and included in products for dicing and processing in other meals and foods. They tend to grow better on heavy soils than other carrot types because of their short shape, and so they don't have problems with forking or fanging in soil which might have stones or clods like larger and longer cultivars might. Then we have the Danvers carrot, which is a kind of, I guess, the characteristic and stereotypical carrot type shape in terms of its length and appearance. It was developed in Danvers, Massachusetts in the United States. It has well-defined shoulders and tapering, characteristic sort of elongated triangle shape, conical shape reaching between 15 to 30 centimeters in length. It's somewhat tolerant to heavier soils, but obviously most carrots will prefer a lighter soil, and we'll go into that in the next screencast. It's usually used in processing and for canning, but also quite large amounts for the fresh market too. Then we have the Imperator type carrot. So this was created from a cross between the Nantes and Chardonnay cultivar types in the 1920s. So it's very long and thin taproot. It grows to between 25 to 30 centimeters in length, which tapers to a very thin point. It's generally durable and can withstand mechanical damage. Its appearance would suggest that it's kind of fragile and brittle, but it can actually withstand mechanical damage quite well post-harvest. It typically has less flavour than other cultivars, which is often a criticism of it. And it's typically used in chopping and as a snack food, or can be sold fresh. Then we have the Oxheart, which was originally produced in France. It's not so much a common cultivar type nowadays, but historically it's been quite important. So the roots, as the name suggests, are heart-shaped and almost spherical for some cultivars. They're well suited to heavy soils because of their short, stubby kind of structure, and they historically have been used for the fresh market and for processing. So in terms of the different varieties of carrot which can be bought commercially as commercial seed, carrot is what's called a preferential outbreeding crop, meaning that it prefers to cross-pollinate, but it is possible also for it to self-pollinate. So when conducting plant breeding and producing new cultivars, this can be quite problematic, as the breeder can't control the direction of the cross very well. So historically, open pollinated cultivars have been used, but as can be seen in this slide, open pollinated varieties are highly variable in terms of the types and shapes of roots, and even colours of roots that they produce. So in recent decades, F1 hybrids have been used to improve the uniformity and productivity, because certain breeding lines of carrots have been identified which have what's called female sterility. So the cross, the pollination can only occur in one direction. So that's facilitated the production of these hybrids, which have improved uniformity for all of the traits that I've mentioned so far. So carrots are bred generally for colour quality, but also the tapering and the shoulder of the root, and also a shallow crown is also desirable, as it's a site of post-harvest infection. So a shallow crown will mean that not too much dirt can get embedded in there and cause potential later infections. So high growth temperatures tend to make the colour of the roots less vibrant, and root texture, smooth skin, disease resistance and cracking resistance are all also highly desirable traits. Taste and flavour are important, but modern cultivars, again, a criticism of them is that while they have a nice shape and uniformity, they tend to lack the flavour of a lot of older, more open pollinated cultivars. As I've mentioned, there's a large amount of colour variation in carrots. So orange cultivars generally dominate the commercial market now in Europe and North America, but other colour variants are popular in some countries. So for example, in Japan, red and purple carrots are quite popular, and yellow carrots are quite popular in some European countries as well. So-called rainbow carrots, so cultivars containing many different coloured types, are generally a bit more of a novelty than a main commercial product. So the colour variation in carrot roots is similar to a lot of other crops with different colorations, in that the colour changes are caused by carotenoids, which are often yellow and orange. So red or orange pigments are produced by many species, as we've seen over the course of the screencasts this semester. Purple carrots contain compounds called anthocyanins, so that's the same thing which makes red cabbage red, and so they contain high concentrations of those. The red carrots contain large amounts of lycopene, and if you remember, that's the same compound which makes tomatoes red. So the white and paler yellow cultivars typically contain lower concentrations of all these compounds, which gives rise to their kind of paler colour. But the varying different ratios between them can generate quite large variations in diversity in terms of the shades of colours of the roots. And also some carrots have different internal coloration to the outside skin. So again, that's another source of carrot variation. So in summary, carrots were first domesticated in modern-day Afghanistan and Iran, and subsequently were spread around the world. The dominant orange carrots we know today are a relatively recent occurrence developed by European breeders in the 16th century. Produced for their edible fleshy roots, which can be highly variable in size, shape and colour, and that colour variation arises from different accumulations of carotenoids and anthocyanin compounds. And lastly, China is the biggest producer of carrots, with other significant growing regions in Central Asia and the United States.